Hello everyone, this is Arrow and welcome back to Sundown Moon Up Podfics. Today we will be continuing Learning to Adapt to the Fall by Supupdog, Chapter 4, Flying In with the Double. Hawks got a call from the principal of the best hero school in all of Japan, UA High School, the best place to quickly ascend to the top of the ranks if you are somehow able to make it all the way through the school. Sad thing, it's only true if you are ever in one specific class with one specific teacher. Class 1A with Aizawa Shota, aka Eraserhead. He was one of the hardest people to impress and to convince you belong. He could tell when someone was really suited for this line of work or not. Let's not skip over the fact that the person he got the call from was Principal Nezu, aka the educational hero Nezu. Nezu called him in the middle of something and was told some very interesting information. In UA, at their UJS, or USJ, they were attacked and were calling for his help. Now, some would think that they were calling for backup, but Hawks wasn't dumb enough to think that. UA has an all-hero staff. Hell, even the janitors are old retired heroes that just like cleaning for fun. So he wasn't called for backup, and if he really was, then it was the biggest attack in the history for any hero school. No. What he was called for was something a little different. Hawks personally never had a call like this, ever. He needed to get down to UA as fast as he can to help with a student that has their instincts going haywire. Hawks asked why Nezu called him personally to help because there are other pros better at it than him and have more of a track record for it. The answer Nezu gave him shocked him. This student was hit by some quirk they have no idea about that has not stopped and has given their student a bird of prey mutation with all the pros and cons in one single go. This student has no idea how to control instinct at all, not to mention the fact that they could possibly hurt someone or be hurt. Nezu was able to tell him how the medical personnel was sent, messed up, and dug out the deeper parts of the poor kid's instinct to attack and threaten on sight when injured, surrounded by enemies, or in some unfamiliar location. It doesn't help that the little chick just got out of a villain attack. This AS is most likely so stressed and is stress gripping something. Hawks said he would try to be down there as fast as he could, but he really was in the middle of something and he couldn't just drop it right now. After finishing his assignment, Hawks called his handler because the commission wanted inside information on UA, and he was just given it on a golden plate. He knew that he would have to have told him to go, so he said yes to skip a step. Of course, he didn't tell his handler this because they would have gotten mad about making the decision before consulting them. His handler did say yes and to try and gather as much information on the attack as possible while not blowing his cover and to help out no matter what. Don't want to his cover blown, they said. After he got the okay from them, Hawks traveled faster. He was going to go even if they said no, because he never gets to see others with wings. Basically, no one else has them, so this was a rare chance to indulge in, to feel a little bit more normal. Hawks knew for a fact that Nezu was going to keep as much info from him as possible, so he wasn't going to even try. No point. It's a lost cause. He was just going to enjoy this as much as he could, and no one was going to stop him. The commission could, but they wouldn't pass this chance, so they will have to try and get him to stay at UA as long as he could. Hawks really hopes the quirk lasts a little bit longer than a normal transformation type does, so he can have fun with the fledgling. Hawks was able to make it in a reasonable time, but he knew that it took longer than the other time, even with him in Tokyo. The first thing he sees in the slightest puffed up, fluffy baby wings of a fledgling, and Hawks can slightly feel his heart melt at that. The poor kid didn't even get wings that have the adult feathers yet. Couldn't even fly, so that was 100% making his instinct flare up more. Oh gosh, that means Hawks will have to play the parental role in the instincts that are going wild right now. How can he do that? The commission pushed all those things out of him. They got rid of all of them a long time ago. He would have to try and pull them back up under the layers and layers of dirt. They were put in a grave a long time ago, and Hawks is pretty sure they are miles down by now. Let's hope seeing a scared baby chick will help his instincts come out faster than forcing the training off of them. Hawks landed on the ground about 50 or so feet away from the pair that was just standing in the middle of the medical area. He looks right at Present Mike that is stuck in a place by the AS, their hand talons or claws, some would say, firmly gripped into the poor man's left arm. He saw how the grip got a little tighter when he landed, and that most likely got them digging a bit deeper, judging by Mike's reaction. Hawks threw on a careless and carefree smile he was trained to wear and lightly waved over to the hero and student duo. "Hey yo, sorry I got here a little slow. I was in the middle of getting a small group of muggers down an alleyway. Took a bit longer than I thought it would." Hawks looked at how Mike seemed to relax, but soon tensed back up, probably due to the fact the baby bird was just tensed up, meaning they also tightened their grip. He leaned a bit to have a better look at the little one that was using Present Mike as a barrier. He saw that it was a kid with green-black hair that was currently puffed up, with a dark green-brown downy wings that were also puffed up to make them look bigger. As soon as he locked eyes with the fledgling, he got a very low hiss thrown in his direction, and then they moved so that they were once again hidden behind Mike. Hawks just smiled at the act and took a step forward. This got a head whipping around Mike to look at him with wide, vivid green eyes, looking like it has little flicks of gold in them as well. He chuckled at the reaction he was given. The kid probably was so far used to everyone backing away, but he needed to make the little bird of prey know he was the boss of this situation. Hawks then took another step closer. It was a rather big step, too. Hawks' eyes drifted to Mike, who flinched in pain, but he focused back on the baby bird that just once again hissed at him. This little AS really thinks they're a big bird, a big, strong bird that is higher than anyone. He kept his eyes locked on the fledgling, not blinking by using his second eyelids, while he walked closer. He's really glad that they never took them away because of the big fact he could have lost his sight. So glad that there was too big of a chance of blindness. Look at the little bird trying to be big, bad, scary bird. Don't you just find him cute, Mike? He heard Mike hum slightly, but besides that, he didn't respond. Hawks should probably inform Present Mike what is probably going to happen, since he is basically challenging the baby bird. This was really the only way to handle this, because this AS just got his instincts, so no leader of the flock yet. Poor baby bird has to be his own leader. "Hey, Mike." He heard a hum, so he continued talking without looking away from the fledgling. "Just so you know, this little one will probably try to attack me after I pass his comfort line." Hawks tilted his head in sync with the nestling as he took another step closer. "What? Why? No, don't try and get into a fight with the little listener. We need to calm him down." Hawks just continued looking at the little thing that was puffing up even more with every tiny step closer. He could start to smell the fear on the fledgling, but also the anger of him challenging him of his authority. It's kind of weird that the kid made himself the leader so quickly after he just got his instincts. One would usually take much longer to become the leader of their flock, and with the way he's acting, it's like this is normal. The kid isn't even trying to fight the instincts, like it's normal for him. Weird. Oh, no. Right now, this little guy is the so-called leader of a flock. Imagine a really small flock of one. He is one in charge of one or himself, and those types are usually bad. He is going to be defensive and will fight someone at any turn at the moment because he has labeled everyone as enemy, besides you for some reason. He might even see you as a flockmate right about now. Hawks took another step, and then again a hiss was thrown at him, but this time it didn't stop. The hiss just continued, and that means that he finally got right at the comfort line. He smirked as he slightly started to take off his jacket, getting ready for the little scuffle. The fledgling won't know how to fight. Right, but that doesn't mean he won't fight like a wild animal right now. Anything goes in these types of fights, but Hawks won't hurt the fledgling if he can help it. Hawks, what are you doing? Mike sounded a bit worried. He wished he could explain better what's going on. I'm taking off my coat so my scent is stronger. He would be able to smell it already, but right now, it being overwhelming will help me. Also, my coat can be used against me in a fight against a scared and angry chick that's grounded. He heard a huff from Mike. He sounded annoyed, probably because of Hawk's approach. The thing is that Mike doesn't know how animal mutant quirks make the person more animal than others. Hawks is just abiding by how the chick is going to 100% attack him after his next step. He squared his shoulders and slightly tensed his muscles, leaving his wings slightly open so that he can use them at the drop of a hat. He still doesn't know this one's quirk. As soon as I take my next step, you need to get away as fast as you can. He will let go of your arm so he can attack me better. I can already see him rearing up to go. He needed to look calm but big. He needed to show that he's the one on top here, not this little fledgling. Do you really need to do this? Hawks gave a little chuckle as he thought about taking off his shoes. He doesn't want to get that in trouble. Mike, Nezu asked me to help calm down a nestling, but he probably didn't know how the kid was acting as his own leader. Other animals can't smell that little difference, like when they are a different one from the source. Only another bird could have been able to tell that they would need to fight the little guy. He readied himself to take another step in hopes that he won't have to use a feather on Mike to move him out of the way. Don't worry, Mike. Nezu knows what I'm about to do. You can even see him over there. Hawks jerked his head in the direction of the rat of the principal. He's watching so he can learn how this process is done in the safest way possible. He could at least try to explain this the best that he can before he takes his next step. This AS doesn't have a sire. He doesn't know when to back down. That doesn't even mention the fact that he thinks he's his own leader of his flock. Nezu will look at how I go and do this. He will also make sure to keep track of any injuries that might happen. If you want, I can try and coax him out real quick to see if that works, even though I can tell you that it won't work at all. Hawks heard a confirmation from Mike and swiftly let a coo fall from his lips. Then another one, and another, but it seemed like the baby bird was just wasn't responding at all. The kid had no reaction to them at all. Oh well, Hawks knew it was going to come to this. Okay, Mike, I tried the calming method that you saw, and it didn't work on the kid. I'm going to take the last step forward real soon. You have to get away as fast as you can. You got that, Mike? He waited for a confirmation from President Mike. After waiting a little bit, he got it. Hawks nodded his head so that Mike knows he heard it because he can't have his eyes leaving the nestling anytime soon. After having to stare down a little longer, Hawks took the final step, and all hell broke loose. The green fledgling grew extremely loud, screeching an attack at him. He saw how the little thing shot forward to him faster than he thought the fledgling should be able to move. A little spark of green could be seen from his feathers. Hawks dodged out of the way and quickly checked to see that Mike did get away. He then brought up his arm and stopped the nestling from trying to claw at his face. It would have effectively shredded his face if he didn't stop it. He grabbed one of the kid's arms and flung him to his left. He saw how the AS seemed to be natural at this moment, like he was perfectly normal and not different. Others wouldn't act like this. They wouldn't know how to move their wings like this little one to help him get just a little faster. Hawk slammed his hand into the side of his arm that was once again trying to go for his face. He then decided that this should be enough for the fledgling to know the difference in power. Hawks grabbed the back of the kid's neck and lightly slammed him into the ground. He He hopped onto the nestling's back and was able to pin his wings to the kid's back before he started thrashing too much. The AS's arms were still free to move around, and they were thrashing about. Hawks could tell that the kid was trying to reach him. He was able to get his leg a bit, but he was able to pin his arms under his legs. Now the baby bird was trapped and wiggling around on the ground like a wild worm. He was just withering everywhere. Hawks just sat on top of the fledgling and waited to see if he would have to screech at him to listen or will calm down himself. Hawks counted. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3. The kid's not going to calm down. He's far too into his instincts to know what's going on. He looked around to see where Nezu was. He was quickly found and was spotted closer than before, but definitely still a safe distance. He locked eyes with him and tried to talk, but his voice was drowned out by the screeching the little one was doing. Hawks huffed a little and started to yell at Nezu so he could be heard. Hey, the AS won't calm down anytime soon or ever really. If I'm trying to match his voice doesn't work, can I go farther or are you not letting me do that? Because if it gets to that point, it might be the only thing that can calm him down. He reached as he saw Nezu work through what he said. Hawks can also see that Mike has gotten treated and is probably asking what he means by, can I go farther? Mike will 100% not like what he meant by that. No one will, especially since this type of thing happens in private homes. No one usually watches this type of thing besides family, so Hawks is being kinda glared at right now. He understands, it's confusing. Animal mutants never let others know this kind of stuff. Of course, there are things on it in specific doctors, quirk counselors, and other things for animal mutants, but it's usually private affairs. The general public can learn about it, they can search it up, easy peasy, but why would they? They don't even know this type of thing exists, so why would they look it up normally? He can feel the eyes of the medical personnel and some of the pros glaring into his back. Maybe some students too, but he can tell they are very far away from this. They must not be able to see him quite right from this distance, but by how much the fledgling is screeching, they must be thinking he's hurting him. It stings that they would think he would hurt the little baby bird, but what can you do? Hawks! His wandering mind snaps back to see Mike's yelling at him. The voice was very clear, but he must have used his quirk. Nezu says that you can do what you need to. Just don't hurt the little listener, all right? Hawks nods and looks back down to the pinned, squirming, screeching nestling still trying to escape, but he's gotten nowhere. Poor little thing looks so scared and frantic, but Hawks could still smell the clear anger that was also drenching that fear. This little AS still thought he was on top, still thought he was able to be the boss, the one that controlled or told others what to do, and he was the leader. It slightly irked his own instincts that the blatant disregard of his authoritative scent. Hawks knew he smelled like authority, and this little one was challenging him still. A grimace graced Hawks' face as he took in a deep breath and screeched. It was loud, high-pitched, and inhuman, but it was able to easily drown out the noise the fledgling was making. After exhausting all the air, he saw how the nestling was still squirming around and making screeching noises, lower in volume, but still challenging him. This chick still didn't see him as a leader here. Hawks screeched again and again and again. He didn't notice how others around him looked slightly put off by what he was doing, and if he did notice, he would have ignored it anyways. Hawks knew what he was doing, and this was the only way to help the baby bird. The little one finally calmed down, not much squirming and barely audible noises. He can bet only he could hear it by now. The noise was still challenging him, but it was so quiet now. He should be able to get up at least and get this baby checked up on. Hawks tested out the waters by slightly moving, but that was the wrong move. This AS was a smart one, acting meek, but as soon as he thought he could escape, he went for it. He had to get his balance back because the fledgling was able to get one arm free, but that small victory for him was short-lived. Soon he was pinned back down and screeching at the same volume they started at. Hawks could see how others wanted to intervene. Hound Dog seemed to be doing a good job of keeping them back and probably giving just enough information for them to listen to him. From an outsider's point of view, this must seem cruel, and they must think that he's hurting the little chick. His screeches must sound distressed to them, but Hawks knows. He can tell it's another act of challenge again. This kid still wants to insist that Hawks is not able to overpower him even in the position they're in. It was grinding on his instincts so hard by the blatant disregard for obvious higher power. A stronger leader, but no. The AS was apparently still the top bird, so Hawks really had to do this. He looked back to Nezu, who seemed to understand his silent question, and answered with a simple nod. If the chick's parents weren't called in by now, that means they don't have any animal-based mutant quirks, and can't help. But this shouldn't affect the fledgling after the quirk wears off. Once the little baby bird no longer had his wings and no longer had the effect on him because he won't have the instincts anymore to understand it. This is one weird transformation quirk, though. Hawks has never seen any like it, and for it to last this long, this type of quirk could have helped in fields where they suddenly needed air support. If only that person was able to hold out, they would have made a nice hero. Hawks turned his attention back to the squirming, screeching nestling, trying their best to snap at him with their sharp fangs. It was a bit weird that he only just noticed the fledgling's sharp fangs until now. He swears they were flat a moment ago. No time to think about that, though. He needs to get a hold of the AS pronto. He took a deep breath and let out slowly, readying himself for when he knew for a fact he won't be able to take this back. The kid won't be affected after the quirk wears off, but Hawks will. He'll have to keep an eye on him from afar and stuff. It'll suck, but that's the job. He opens his mouth, holds the baby bird's head in a certain way so as not to hurt him, and dives his head down. Hawks bit down on the nestling's right shoulder, not too hard, but hard enough to break a layer or two of skin and leave just a little drop of blood, something that would be a clear mark. He only stayed for a few seconds, but all the noise stopped. The fledgling stopped moving and making any noise of any kind, and Hawks took that as a clear sign to get off. He moved away from the chick's shoulder and sat right beside him. Hawks saw the nestling's eyes go wide and look straight at him. He just calmly sat there waiting for the chick to catch up with his thoughts. After a little, Hawks could hear a tiny adorable little coo, and he couldn't help but coo right back a little louder. He watched as the kid slowly and wobbly got up and faced him with the still wide stunned eyes. He softly cooed and watched as the AS eyes dilated to the sound, only focusing on him and not the people looking at them with slight uncertainty. You want me? First human words were spoken in such a long time, and they sounded very rough and raspy. Hawks saw something akin to desperation in the back of the fledgling's eyes. A need, a want. The kid's acting like his parents never wanted him, but he doesn't know about his home life. He'll have to inform Nezu about that little tidbit he saw. He coos a little more and holds his arms and wings wide open, inviting, just for the chick to charge headfirst into his chest. He let out a quiet oof, but was able to keep sitting straight up. He wrapped his arms around the little one, and he was able to hear the soft sniffles and cries. Why was he crying? Why was the kid so off? Like, this very weird. Hawks repositioned them so they can get more comfortable. He sends down coos to try and calm down the AS. He really doesn't understand how this little guy that only just got his instincts from a quirk that should at least wear off in about a few days is acting like this. He should never have installed himself as his own leader already. He should have been a somewhat calm baby bird, but just needed an authoritative figure around. His instincts should never have told him to fight and defend, to take control. Hell, Hawks doesn't even know how President Mike falls under it. He didn't attack him, but just used him as a type of shield. It makes no sense. No sense at all. Hawks, hello. How was your day so far? He heard a cheery voice from a comfortable distance away. He turned his head to face the principal. He wasn't stepping closer, and it seemed to not alarm the chick, so he was a good distance away. Hawks sent some more coos to the little one and looked back up. Hi, Nezu. I'd say my day has been pretty eventful, but I guess the same could be said for you. He let the common lazy smile fall on his face, being able to do this easily after all his training. Well, yes, it has been very eventful day, one could say, but we should really focus on the matter at hand. Nezu smiled with a little more teeth than what he normally would use, an indication tactic, and Hawks can understand why he would do it because this was his territory. Is Midoriya stable enough to be checked on, or could check him real quick? Since you just formed a bond with him, you can tell his injuries faster than others. He checked over his nestling and his wings and only noticed scrapes and some bruises here and there. Besides the quirk affecting him, Midoriya is A-okay. He's all good, Nezu. No blood anywhere, just scrapes and bruises the little chick's got. Nezu nodded his head in understanding, and the sharp smile still present on his face. That is delightful to hear, Hawks. Now, since Midoriya is okay, we can send him to the hero ward that both of his teachers are in. At the ward, Midoriya will be evaluated to see what type of quirk was used on him, and the police will look through all the criminals that were caught. Quirks as well. If you could help with the process of getting him to the hero ward in Musatafu General Hospital, that would be very much appreciated. You can stay by him for as long as you want, and all you need to do is keep him calm throughout the whole process. It's fine if he freaks out here and there because that's unavoidable, but do you think you can do that, Hawks? He looked at the white rat. He wanted him here to help, but he's already pushing him off his property. He can't do anything about that either, so Hawks will just have to ignore that need to gather data for the commission. At least he's got enough stuff already. They'll just know the basics of what happened before the public, and they just have to be happy about that. Hawks focuses back on the little chick that still clings to him for dear life. Scared? He cuddled closer to the fledgling that's currently gripping onto him while trembling. The big, scary monster. He rubbed his cheek onto the hatchling, trying his best to soothe and calm him. Scenting should help. Poor little guy is only now trying to understand what happened. I know, baby bird, Hawks quietly said, not wanting others to hear. Could have died. At those words, he felt wet tears on his chest, and he felt his stomach twist into knots. His hatchling would have died before he got here, before he was even notified. He really has marked this little one, hasn't he? Hawks needs to keep the commission away from him. I know, chick, I know. Just focus on my breathing. When you calm down enough, I'll take you somewhere safe so we can see what quirk affected you. When Hawks looked down, he was met with those deep Freudian eyes. Nest? He felt a little pain in his heart knowing for a fact that they were not going to a nest. No, nestling, but I'll be right beside you all along the way. The kid just nodded and buried himself closer into his chest. It really was weird that Midoriya was acting like this. Usually when others randomly got instincts from a quirk, they will fight them to the point that it could hurt themselves, since it goes against how they normally think. It makes sense everyone fights it, but this kid is acting like this is normal. It's weird. Here are some endnote memes. Hawks, flying at the speed of light. Sashi, I'm bleeding, I'm losing lifeblood, but this is just peachy. Izu, bad people, no, humans smell bad. Nezu, how I wish this day could have just gone a little differently. Commission, do your job. Hawks, KK, also commission. Fuck everything else, go to UA and spy and collect shit on that white rat fuck. Hawks, KK, baby bird, here I come. Sashi, what the fuck are you doing? Hawks, I'ma do pro gamer move. Sashi, I don't like this. Nezu from a safe distance, I'm learning so much, I love this. Sashi gasping, Nezu! Hawks, this is weird. Hawks encountering the bird zoo. This is really weird. Hawks just seeing how natural birds do. Why the fuck is this so weird? Nezu. I don't know what's happening, but this was such a good way to learn something new, and usually never seen beside out of families. Aizawa was slightly finally waking up. Zashi, why are you so... Zashi, he was out there fighting fucking kids, Sho. Hawks, I kicked the child in self-defense. Aizawa, you kicked one of my kids? Hawks, I trapped and bit the child in self-defense. Aizawa, you bit one of my kids? Nezu, I'm loving the energy we created in the hospital room today. Izu before Hawks, danger, danger, bad smell, only good. Is one that was with from beginning. No one's safe but one. This one good. Izuku after being marked. Oh my god, Mama, it's Mama. I never had a Mama before. I'm wanted and loved and kept safe. Mama will keep me safe. Hawks, I have only been with Midoriya for a few hours, and if anything happens to him, I will kill everyone in the commission, then myself. Commission learning his instincts are back and in full swing, and they are just sweating bullets. I'm in danger. Restive 1A, Mutation Gang. What the fuck is Hawks doing here? Mutation Gang. Oh fuck, that's serious. 1A. What? Oh my god, he's hurting him! Mutation Gang. He's gonna have a new dad. Midoriya has a second dad now. Zashi. I love Midoriya. Aizawa. I care and am protective about Midoriya. Hawks in the corner hissing at anyone coming close to the both of them. This is my baby, and no one finna touch him. Izu just being normal baby bird after all his life of suffering. Blip face. All three new fathers. Aww. Midnight. Oh my god, I'm an aunt. Mirako. Oh my god, I'm an aunt. Both of them looking at each other. Midnight. I'm the wine aunt that brings expensive gifts all the time. Mirako. I'm the fun aunt that is always up to hang out and 100% gives kids bags of candy before sending him home to his parents. Both keeping eye contact for a little longer than nodding. We have a deal. Alright everyone, that is the end of Chapter 4, Learning to Adapt to the Fall. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!